It's the Real News Network. I'm Sharmini Pires coming to you from Baltimore. It's been a week and a half since Mexico held a historic election in which they elected Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador as its new president with 53% of the vote. This is the first time in Mexican modern history that a progressive has been elected as president. AMLO's party, Morena, also won majorities in Congress and in 17 out of the 32 legislatures. AMLO now begins the process of putting together his cabinet and his policies, which he gets to implement once he's inaugurated on December 1st of this year. Joining me now to take a closer look at the post-election situation in Mexico is John Ackerman. John is professor at the National Autonomous University of Mexico, UNAM, and editor-in-chief of the Mexican Law Review and a columnist for the publications La Jornada and Proceso. Good to have you back with us, John.
Wonderful, Sharmini, as always, to talk to you.
All right, John, let's start off with this huge mandate AMLO has gotten. How broad and deep is it?
Well, yeah, this is really a historic achievement, not only that the left has won finally in Mexico after these decades of being left out of the pink wave, but just the fact that of the size of the victory. So Lopez Obrador got 30 million votes. This is much more than any contemporary president. Just to get an idea, Peña Nieto 6 years ago got 19 million. Calderon around about the same, 18 million in 2006. So this is really almost twice as much as the most recent presidents. Fox got 15 million in the year 2000. So this is a really strong mandate, 30% ahead of the second place. Sweeping Congress, sweeping the state legislatures, winning most of the governorships that were up for grabs. And so, he's really kind of blasted away at this very powerful opposition to him, which is actually, he's been the opposition, right? But this sort of authoritarian regime that's been in power for the last 20, 30 years. And, it was quite surprising to most people that, 2 days after the election on last Tuesday, Peña Nieto, invited Lopez Obrador directly to the National Palace to, start the negotiations about the transition in power. The next day, he met with the leading oligarchs, the people, the Consejo Coordinador Empresarial, which is the top organization of the most powerful businessmen in Mexico, and he's gotten to work immediately. He's been having meetings with his cabinet. His cabinet, he had appointed, he had invited the cabinet members from back in December, actually. So he did one switch in terms of the foreign Secretary of Foreign Relations, but generally he's keeping with the same team and starting to, interview and appoint people who are going to be at the second and third levels of government. So he's really moving forward very quickly and sending signals of stability, of responsibility to the international market. So he's getting sort of generally international positive coverage in the international press. And everybody is kind of waiting to see what's actually going to happen on the ground with his government. One of the strange or unique things about the Mexican political transition is that we have this very long period of 5 months, right? So the election was on July 1st, and he doesn't take power until December 1st. So this is a limbo period, which is delicate to manage as the president-elect.
Speaking of foreign policy, John, now Mexico City Mayor Marcelo Ebrard has been appointed or actually selected by AMLO as the potential candidate as foreign minister, and apparently he's expected to meet with Pompeo from the United States, Secretary of State, coming Friday, where they will discuss if Trump will actually attend the inauguration of Lopez Obrador. Give us a sense of, first of all, who this new appointee is as foreign minister, and second, how the conversations between the U.S. and Mexico may shift under the leadership of Lopez Obrador.
Well, let's start with the second question. So Trump has been, surprisingly also very, positive about Lopez Obrador. Lopez Obrador being a convinced nationalist, not a Trump-style nationalist, but someone proud of defending national sovereignty. He had been portrayed in the U.S. press as a danger to the United States. There were crazy kind of conspiracy theories that somehow he might be supported by the Russians and that kind of stuff. But actually, on Sunday night, once Lopez Obrador it was obvious that he was going to win by a landslide. Trump immediately put his tweet out there saying, I celebrate the election of Lopez Obrador. And the next day on Monday, they spoke on the phone. And it's even said that, as you mentioned, Lopez Obrador has invited Trump to his inauguration. And this Friday, the 13th, Pompeo is coming down on an official visit with Peña Nieto. But apparently the real mission is to meet with Lopez Obrador and with Ebrard. So, it's kind of surreal for us in Mexico because Lopez Obrador has been, very much of a critic of Peña Nieto first and also of Trump. And now all of a sudden everybody's getting along. Now we'll see how this pans out. This might just be a very short honeymoon. We know how Trump is. You guys know how he is. So he's most likely just kind of, faking it out. But also, he's demonstrating something that's really objectively correct. Lopez Obrador comes in with this incredible legitimacy, incredible support of his people. So he's a man who has to be respected in the end. We'll see how things turn out on Friday. Now, Marcelo Ebrard is the new person that Lopez Obrador has chosen as his foreign secretary instead of Hector Vasconcelos, who was also elected apparently to the Senate. He's going to go to the Senate and hopefully, from his point of view and Lopez Obrador's point of view, chair the Foreign Relations Committee in the Senate, which is a very key post for the approval of ambassadorships and consuls and that kind of stuff. So they're working together. But Marcelo Ebrard is a new foreign minister. He doesn't have a whole lot of experience in foreign affairs. He's been working with the UN and living in Paris and helping in Los Angeles. He worked with Villaraigosa in Los Angeles for a while over the last 2 years since he left the head of government in Mexico City in 2012 when his term ended. But he's a man of the world and he should probably do a pretty good job. And Lopez Obrador has specifically put his priority for foreign relations towards supporting migrants in the United States and renegotiating NAFTA so it benefits working people and environment and moves forward instead of backwards in this renegotiation with Trump. Those are his two big priorities in terms of relations with the United States and foreign relations more generally. And we'll see what happens this Friday. Apparently, they're going to talk about NAFTA. They're going to talk about the wall. They're going to talk about migrants. It'll be very interesting to see what the tone of that meeting is this Friday.
All right, now, John, finally, let's talk about the kind of majority that AMLO has to govern with. I mean, he's very close to a majority in Congress and in the state legislatures that would allow him to implement all sorts of constitutional reforms. So what type of reforms are at the top of his agenda here?
Well, yes, he does. He will definitely have control of both houses of a normal majority over 50%, and it looks like he might have the majority of the state legislatures as well. He would need to get up to 2/3 in both the Senate and the House or the Chamber of Deputies in order to do constitutional reforms. But that wouldn't be difficult either because, the PAN and the PRI, the other two parties are in such disarray that they could probably be convinced to join Lopez Obrador with a structural reform in different areas. Now, Lopez Obrador has said that he's not going to give a high priority to legal reforms at this moment. This is what Peña Nieto did 6 years ago. He came in, he did all these legal reforms, constitutional reforms, and he kind of spent his political capital and the little political capital Peña Nieto had on those kinds of reforms, and then the job of governing itself sort of came as secondary. Lopez Obrador is going to invert this and really focus from day one on the job of governing itself using executive power, not in an authoritarian way, but we have a powerful state in Mexico. It's not a failed state. It's just we haven't actually been able to implement the laws that are on the books. So he wants to get in there on day one and start doing infrastructure projects, healthcare, education, scholarships for youth. He really wants to start working from day one, and he'll do some legal reforms, but I don't think he's going to put that on his agenda as number one of big constitutional reforms. That would come, I think, during the second half of his of his period of his presidency, the 6-year period, the last 3 years, in which he would, might want to consolidate his achievements through legal and constitutional reforms. But, even given this incredible majority, yeah, I think that he's gonna go more towards public policies and less towards negotiating legal reforms in Congress at this moment.
All right, John, this is an incredible moment in Latin American history and Mexico in particular, and an incredible mandate that's given to Lopez Obrador. He could do just about anything he wants under these circumstances. And I thank you for joining us, and this will be something we will be watching and following closely, and looking forward to coming in, visiting you in that transition.
Please, Sharmini, come on down. You, Paul, the whole team is absolutely welcome. It'd be great to have you guys here watching and reporting on the complexities and the great hope that we have in political transformation in Mexico. It really is a shot in the arm, given the global context, right? You guys in the United States, South America, Europe, the responses to the collapse of the centrist neoliberal consensus have been very strange. You have Macron, you have Trump, you have Macri, you have Lula in jail, as Rafael Correa. They want to put him in jail as well, and suddenly we have this sort of hope of a new way of doing politics from the left and in the 21st century. So I think Mexico can really set the agenda in a positive way, but we definitely need international solidarity and support, because it's not going to be an easy struggle.
All right, John, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Sharmini.
And thank you for joining us here on the Real News Network.